Should we start over?
All right.
I'm sorry, you weren't
August 4th, 2026, Pocahontas County Board of Education. It's 6 o'clock. We'll get started with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess before we get started tonight, I was looking at Robert's rules, and for small boards, which comprises 12 or less, you can decide as board not to have a second to the motion. I'm trying to keep the minutes very crisp, very clear. That is our legal document of what actually went on in the meeting. So I will make the motion that we forego the second to any motion as permitted by Robert's rules. You don't have to second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
That would have to be an agenda item. That's gotta be put on the agenda. That, you can't just make it as you go and say, I want to put this on. That has to be officially put on the agenda.
We already follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah,
It's
I
our
mean, that's what
policy.
we do.
Yeah, but you're changing Robert's Rule of Order because this board has always had a second.
We're not changing it.
We're not
So-
changing it. It's in there.
If-
We might change the process. We might change the procedure, but we're not changing the
Okay.
rules.
Whatever you want to do.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, pass. Delegations? All right. Recognitions? None. School improvement updates. End of year discipline production.
Miss Hammonds, is Weavis,
Data collection dashboard is not updated right now. I did have an email out of that, so as soon as I know something.
so we'll have to forego those till next meeting because our data dashboard is not appropriately working.
Okay, I guess the main thing is that there were some students who were expelled. Where are we with any of those?
Well, I have that prepared. And if we want to take an executive session for the things that you asked for, the personnel and the students, then we can do that.
I don't need names. I just need to know where they are as far as where we are. Are they planning on coming back? Do they want a hearing? Where are we with those?
So, do we talk about that right now?
Mhm.
Okay. So at the end of the year, last year, I submitted to the board and we talked about the early re-entry form for students. And just have one for each board member. These are actually have been sent out to the school principals, the YRC, and disseminated appropriately to the appropriate folks. We have a total of 8 students that are out on expulsion. Once the board rules on the expulsion, then it's out of the board's hands at that point. It doesn't come back to the board. But under the circumstances of the expulsion before, I was asked to develop some procedural guidelines for re-entry for the students that is not a shall 365 day. So for those students that are not a shall, then there is this re-entry process that I presented. So the first part of the form was just demographical information and parent signature and relationship. The reason for early re-entry requests is the second part of the form, and then the conditions for re-entry. So the conditions for re-entry, I have gotten one form and I have sent it back down to the high school because there has to be a behavior intervention plan in place, which that means that the school administrative staff meets for the students. They write a behavior intervention plan for that student to re-enter school early, and that is attached to this form. And then it comes to me, and then there is this student agreement for success. I will attend school regularly and on time. I will treat all students and staff and property with respect. We actually had a student that was put on expulsion that had 59 write-ups. So we can't bring a student back that's out on expulsion that has 59 additional write-ups. We have to have some kind of behavioral contract. So that's what the second part of this section of the form is. And then we have the parent or guardian, and then we have the school commitment that they're going to touch base and follow the SAP process. And then I either approve it or I deny it. We get an agreement, and then I will present it to the board at a board meeting when I get a completed application packet for reentry with all of the elements. I have received one. I have not received any other. The one that I received was not complete and did not follow the reentry guidelines. That has been sent down to the school, and I've asked them to have that meeting and resubmit that form. Once I get it, I will review it to make sure it's complete, and I will present it to the board at a board meeting in time.
Okay.
Is that what you were asking me?
Mhm. Just making sure that anybody that wanted to come, we're supporting them. Has anybody touched base with this student or the student's family to let them know, hey, this is where we are, this is the hiccup?
Once the superintendent of schools initiates an expulsion, then that, and they know of the process and they've been given the form, that is upon that family and that student to take the ownership of that situation, to contact the school and to work out the details. It is not ownership for the superintendent of schools to say, hey, you were expelled for inappropriate behavior. Let me do these things to get you back. That is beholden upon them. So I gave it to the appropriate people who disseminated. I know it was disseminated at the YRC because I was told it was. And then the student that submitted the form, I gave them to Miss Dunlap and asked her to touch base with the principal and make sure that they were following the process.
We have a timeline on that.
I don't. I mean, that was last week. I got the form and I gave it to Miss Dunlap to send back, so I have not heard back from her.
The expulsions were for a year, right?
On not the ones that we had completed, they were not a 365 days because we said they could have this re-entry process.
So
One of them was a shall because it was a safety threat. And that one is for a year regardless. You are correct, Mr. Gibson, on warning.
And the others?
And the others what?
So the others, was it a mandatory 365 days or was there leeway in that?
And the others, there was leeway, and those are the ones that this form has been developed for.
So the leeway was 365 days?
No, they were suspended from during that period of time. Their expulsion for the board was you are expelled and you can re-enter before your re-entry date. So all expulsions from point A to point B are 365 days. But if we decide to shorten that with a re-entry form, then it's less than 365 days.
Do we know what was behind the extreme measure with administration? Like, why would they go to 365 days for all of them?
That was a board decision that was made in executive session.
So I'm sorry, I understood that administration.
Administration, oh,
Determines
in code, the administration recommends the expulsion. That comes from the principal, and within 10 days, it comes to the superintendent, and I schedule a meeting, present that to the board, and the board makes a decision of how many days and how long they will be expelled.
So the administration recommended that?
Yes,
Do we know why they went to those measures with all?
because of the infraction in policy 4373 outlines what that does. So if you look up 4373 outlines expulsion criteria.
I think it says can go up to a year,
Yes.
but doesn't have to be a year.
That's right. So up to a year with, and then this re-entry is part of the board's decision.
The board can suspend for a year, but then the superintendent can put them back. But whatever time that she thinks is season.
Right, but the administration on most has the authority to determine the punishment without it coming to the board, correct?
That's Correct.
Mhm.
On some infractions, they can, yes.
Mhm.
On others, no. It's the finding code.
And so these were defined in code or,
Yes.
okay,
End of year enrollment selection.
All of those things in under school improvement
Mhm.
are on the data dashboard that is down.
Oh, okay.
So A through D, all of those is on the data dashboard. I was going to bring up and show you for the collections.
Me? So we can't really go through any of these right now.
No, because it was going to be a visual
Okay,
from live data
so we'll defer that,
in
right?
the next one. Yes.
Defer the next meeting.
Oh, it's always
Any
Please.
further discussion on any of these, the school improvement, what we do know? Is there any?
on the discipline collection, so are we gonna receive a breakdown, like a status report of all pending, including employee suspensions, investigations, the status of each, who's conducting
So-
the investigation,
The end of
completion date?
the end of the year data collection shows you all the students that are under discipline or have been disciplined and what those infractions were.
Mhm.
That will show you at the end of the year.
Okay,
That's only student information. That does not include employee information.
okay,
If you want an employee information update, then that is something that has to be done in an executive session.
okay, well, I think that would be helpful for the board to have,
There's also, I guess there's a financial trail behind each of these expulsions too, isn't there?
yes,
The
Yeah.
students,
Yeah. As far as like
well, there's,
legal fees and things, is the legals, are the expenses on these expulsions?
no, Mr. Gibson, these are the ones that we had in here.
I know. So are there any costs associated with those things? Like-
If we have our attorney there, there is a cost
Those are-
associated.
Okay.
Mhm. So that, I think that would be helpful if we could have a written breakdown of all legal and professional fees that we've incurred, by matter, by firm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who pays for their alternate education if that's what's decided? You can make the recommendation to do alternate education, is that correct?
You mean if they have a
That's
homebound teacher,
Mhm.
we pay for that.
Okay. Did any of them have homebound?
We had a couple with homebound.
Okay, so we did foot the bill. Will we continue to foot the bill?
We always foot the bill when we provide homebound instruction.
Even though children are expelled from school, state law says we still have to offer them alternative education.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the amount of time, if theoretically, if only one of them has to come back early and the rest of them say, just stay at home and get homebound, then we are being charged for that home, extra money that we wouldn't over it.
Correct, but not all of them were homebound.
Two of them, right?
Correct. The others, we had serving at the YRC.
Now, is there a fee for that?
There was not a fee for that, but the YRC has since shut down, last week.
Forever?
That's my understanding of the situation. But I have a meeting with a couple of the people that oversee institutional education.
Mhm.
I haven't scheduled it yet. I gotta get through the opening of school and we'll discuss what our options are. Because we didn't just place kids there that were there for disciplinary infractions. We had an agreement with YRC to place kids that were not coming to school and were chronically absent there for a rehabilitation period of 9 weeks to get them caught up and to do some behavior modification over attendance. That was also another avenue that we had with that particular organization. Other students that were there were placed there by the court system. And some of them were placed there by the court system when we took students to court, they would place them there. So some we place there, some the court placed there, and some were discipline issues that we placed there.
Who ran that program? So,
Well, institutional education, pays for part of it, and then, youth offenders corrections had that, also paid for another portion of it, I believe. I mean, I'm not an expert
Yeah.
on that program, but that's how I believe it worked.
We're talking about Ned here, right?
Yeah, Ned. He was the teacher there.
I know.
so I guess they'll involve you in that discussion about,
They will.
all right, more to come on that. Okay, consent agenda items, approval of the agenda. Approval of the agenda minutes from the board work session, July 15th and July 21st.
This is the time to say something on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on B, I would like to discuss the minutes for July 21st.
Okay,
Regarding the approval of all of those minutes. You know, I don't think that it reflects accurately what we discussed in that manner. I think that it was said that for the minutes that were prior to to us taking office, that Emery would be signing off on those.
correct.
Yes.
And then you would be signing off on those moving forward. And I think it's important that it reflects for the record the accuracy of that.
Can you tell me exactly what section for that you would like to have revised, and we'll have Ollie look at that and make a revision?
I believe it was in the very first section where it says, it kind of says that we just approved all of the consent agenda items.
Right.
And it did not reference, you know, what we had talked about for those particular minutes.
I do remember that. We talked about that a good
Mm-hmm.
tad there.
Mm-hmm.
So is it under continuous school improvement or open with what section?
Well, it usually is under consent agenda items.
Oh, wait,
as
I'm
it
in the
is
wrong
like
section. I see
today.
where I am.
Mhm. We had approval of the agenda minutes for several meeting
Right.
minutes. Most of them occurring in, you know, prior to July 1st.
So are we talking where it starts, Mr. Grimes ask, or,
Yeah, could be before that.
It was before that.
Yeah.
Mhm. It says on the motion of
Ms. Hall.
Ms. Hall and seconded by
The
Ms.
board
Garber.
unanimously approved the following, and I think what she's saying is, it looks like this board approved all the minutes. Well, we weren't even here then as sitting members, so it needs to be cut out that this went to, Mr. Grimes because he and Sam were there.
Yeah.
And then I agreed to do the times that I was sitting. And I think, you know, for the purposes of clarity and making sure that it's legally correct, that probably needs to be revised a little bit.
so we wanted to state that President Grimes signed and approved the minutes prior to July 6th, and after July 6th, new board president Connie Rose will approve minutes moving forward.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking
Yep,
for?
yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need a motion to reflect, start this?
We shouldn't need a motion to do it because it's the right thing to
Okay.
do.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I mean, it actually happened and actually is there. It just needs to be better defined.
We'll define that and
Okay.
revise them and bring them to the next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
And
very good.
I have
We
one
can
more.
make a motion.
You got one more?
I've got one more item. I would like to request an itemization for the 40,000 cleanup pay.
Oh. We've got it.
We got it?
We do have it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Actually, it probably needs a little bit more clarified. We were trying to figure out the discrepancy because it's actually totals up to
Oh.
48,
Okay.
which is 8,000 more. We think we found it, but we need Sarah's input and
We pulled that from Missy. I asked her about that.
That's the one that we were discussing in. There's a slight difference. I think the agenda said 40,000 and some odd dollars, 39, and then this cleanup says $48,004.63.
yeah.
I did the same thing you all did, added up and I sent it to her.
Did she have time to respond
I
yet?
did.
Okay.
So we may be able to clear that up right now.
It says, I'm attaching the front page of the 629 payroll. The adjusted, the gross payroll was $48,004.63. The net was $40,239.35. And that's what she had put down as the net.
Okay.
And she should have put the gross.
Okay.
Because I sent her an email the same of, hey, something's not jiving.
Yeah.
We need to know what's going on.
Says the.
And what you're
finance
seeing
law.
here, everything else is the same. Yeah, your overtime, where you have your extra duty for your, because it will hold that 6,714 overtime.
Mhm.
And where it comes in is 6,105.09. Plus you have your workers' comp that comes out of it at $609.06. And that's where you get your 6714.50.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I guess one more thing.
Okay.
Sorry. The charges on, we have charges in the bank statement for Canaan. Are those reflective of orientation?
Give me just a minute. Sure.
Is that where orientation was most
We're looking on this bank statement right now.
Yes.
It's on this month. Mhm.
I was, of course, didn't know it was going into that. Two things.
What page are we on?
We're going to E.
Little League. Wait.
Yes, Little League.
Okay, now I'm on my bank statement. You're on the bank state, you're on the reconciliation?
I believe it's just been text written.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I don't see a
That's
Canadian
okay.
here. Okay, now on your Canadian, on part of that, what you're looking at would be one. In May, we had to do a deposit for us to go,
Mhm.
for me to hold a room for.
Mhm.
For 6 or 7 of you all. And that was 145.20. And then the following would be for, where they put the rest of the charges on. But that won't be your only charge on Canaan. What you'll have there is everything total. They had a conference there that Mr. Anderson went to. He had to go to Canaan at the end of June. You're gonna see that one there too.
Okay, so you're saying that that's what
It's
my question
multiple,
was,
is
if there
that-
was charges prior that were forthcoming later.
That's for you all to go,
Mhm.
when you all went in June.
Right, but it didn't match what it would have been, so I was trying to figure out why it
Oh,
was.
no, there's you, when we do the checks, it'll do, like, you're gonna find some Amazon, it'll be $50,000. We didn't order $50,000 worth of pencils. That's all our Amazon for the month, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. So it'll be a one-shot deal. So you've got several different conferences. I can pull all that if you want. It's in the other room if you need to.
No, I was just curious, when I looked at it and then it just didn't
It
reflect.
didn't jive for what you were thinking of. Yeah, no, there's several different conferences. Julie went to a couple, Mr. Anderson went to a couple.
Mhm.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion on the agenda minutes? All right, motion to approve the agenda. I'll make a motion. Second, forget that. Yes, have it. All right, it's so moved. All right, payment of bills. Subject to additions, deletions, payments, of vendor listings, payments of P cards, July 15th, employee payroll, extra duty pay, and bank reconciliations. Any discussion on that? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Let's see, all right, personnel matters. Old business, discussion and action, athletic supervision and realignment, superintendent's proposal. What you got?
Do you want to do personnel first?
Is there, oh, down
So
here,
personnel is the recommendations for positions.
okay,
That's number 7. And if
we
you,
can. Oh, okay,
you see what I'm saying? So that will be this right here. The recommendations.
oh, here, oh, right,
And
yep. All right,
that's what Ollie usually does.
okay. Ollie, you wanna read them out, so if anybody interested will know?
Personnel agenda, the amended agenda for August the 4th, 2026. Professional recommendations is Stephen Martin for the Assistant Principal Supervisor of CTE and Technical at Pocahontas County High School. Kristen Personius, Teacher of Multi-Subjects, Marlinton Middle School. The other positions have not been filled at this time. Service recommendations, the resignation of Cindy Landis as ECAT aide kindergarten at Marlinton Elementary School effective August the 1st, 2026. Jessica Eisner as Secretary 2, Accountant 2 at Pocahontas County High School, effective July the 27th, 2026. Then the hiring of Rebecca McCarty as the Secretary 2, Accountant 2 at Pocahontas County High School. Paulina Schoolcraft as a requested transfer from ECAT Special Education Classroom, a bus aide to Secretary 3, Accountant 3 at Hillsborough Elementary. Emily Sharp as an itinerant custodian 3 position for the summer work. The custodian 3 has not been filled at Marlinton Middle School. And then we want to request the following substitute secretary accountants for Pocahontas County Schools, Jessica Eisner and Emily Sharp for the 26-27 school year. Extracurricular recommendations will be Corey McNabb as the $1 assistant coach, girls basketball, Pocahontas County High School. The other positions have not been filled.
I have a question on, what's the difference between the Secretary 2, Accountant 2 and Secretary 3, Accountant 3?
It's the duties. Sarah, would you like to explain that?
It's also time, like to, after 8 years, the Secretary 2 becomes a Secretary 3.
Okay. So
It
number
starts
of
out-
years work.
Yeah, it'll start out.
Influence that, all right, gotcha. All right, and then,
Yeah, and duties for Paulina because she'll
Hey,
be up
for
here.
my notes here, who was the new assistant principal at the high school? I missed that.
Stephen Martin.
Stephen,
Steve Martin. Stephen Martin.
but never, Stephen Martin, that's right.
does he have, experience with CTE?
Yes.
Wonderful, good.
We'll talk a little bit about him in a minute.
Okay, all right, good. All right. Any other discussion? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, they're approved. Okay, now, I'm gonna go back to
Next,
old business, or do we have anything?
the old business is next is the athletic proposal
Yes.
that you were getting ready for.
Mm-hmm,
Okay. I'm gonna move over there to the podium for this.
okay.
So on, June, July. One month behind, possibly lately. I don't know why. But on July 30th, 2026, from 4:15 to approximately 6:30 p.m., I met with all the head coaches of Pocahontas County Schools. Our meeting theme was team. Together, everyone achieves more. One team, one purpose, every child. The purpose of the meeting was to establish a unified vision for athletics throughout Pocahontas County Schools while building a culture of collaboration, accountability, sportsmanship, and excellence. At that meeting, we started off with introductions and a team building activity. And we established a common vision for athletics. Myself and Ms. Schaffner hosted the meeting along with all of the secondary principals was at the meeting and our head coaches. So building a unified athletic program, we talked about creating consistency across all of our programs, establishing expectations for coaches, assistant coaches, athletics, and families, and strengthening communication and collaboration among all the teams. The coaches let me know during this meeting that that was the first head coaches meeting that had been held at the county level since before COVID. They had not had an opportunity to have that meeting, have that dialogue, and have that discussion. And they were very appreciative of that opportunity, Ms. Schaffner. And I felt like we built a strong bridge of communication. Would you agree?
I would agree with that.
So the first thing we talked about is that it is a requirement that coaches receive mandatory reporting training. So we went over the mandatory reporting training and we assigned the appropriate verification of that is required. And what we talked about is child abuse and neglect reporting requirements, reporting procedures and timelines, and responsibility of coaches and volunteers that serve our student athletes. Next, we went over the employee code of conduct that we expect of our employees. And now that you're a coach, you are an employee of Pocahontas County Schools. That was West Virginia Board of Education Policy 5902 and Pocahontas County Schools Policy 3210. We provided that, discussed it, and reviewed some expectations for that policy. Those expectations included professional responsibilities, appropriate interaction with students, social media expectations, communication guidelines, and maintaining professional boundaries. There seems to be a plethora of articles and incidents that's occurring among professional employees in all levels and students. We talked about that there should be no private interaction with students. We need to use a team application and we need to be corresponding with parents and not directly individually with students. That's not appropriate. Mr. Gibson.
What were those policy numbers again?
It should be on that paper I handed out right there on the front on the bottom.
5902.
Okay.
32 friends.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. We also talked about transportation and student supervision. Ms. Schaffner reviewed this with the coaches and reviewed our county policy, policy 8660, transportation of student by private vehicle, to make sure we clarified those expectations and expectations for student supervision during practice, competition, and travel. Assistant coach responsibilities during that period of time, parent transportation procedures, and volunteer training for our parents that are taking our students at places, as well as vehicle requirements. You have to have insurance, you have to have an inspection. You have to provide those things to be using your personal private vehicle to transport our students. And if you're transporting students that are not your children, you should have the volunteer training to know the appropriate interaction with those students. Ms. Schaffner, you have anything you'd like to add to that section since it was yours?
Our form just needed updated, just some clarification on what they needed. We had a good discussion about it and I think moving forward, we have some procedures in place that will help.
Okay. We also talked about financial procedures and fundraising, budget management of your school funds, fundraising procedures and approval, and purchasing procedures. So out of this meeting, the outcome is that if a purchase is being made out of an athletic account that this head coach supervises, all of those requisitions and all that spending will be approved by the head coach. It will not be processed without the head coach's signature. The same with the fundraisers. They are oversight for fundraisers that's being conducted in the name of their team and in their name. They were fine with that. They responded well to that and agreed to that. Would that be appropriate characterization? Embedded credit opportunities, we talked about, policy 5460, the graduation requirements and the embedded credit that kicked in last year and roles and responsibility, the county policy and procedure in the form. We talked about the documentation for attendance requirements for those 60 hours that you have to have, and two sports. We talked about that. And we talked about student eligibility requirements. So we have developed what form that we're going to use in the county. We're going to use the form that was developed last year. And we talked about some processes for managing that I'll discuss a little bit later. Program growth and long-term planning. Our discussion was, what do you need as head coach to build a successful athletic programs, not one successful athletic, but successful athletic programs in our county? And what do we need to do as a county to create a sustainable culture of excellence? We don't want our students to just participate. We want our students to get scholarships. We want our students to think about what the next level is and how do we get there? What are we doing to facilitate not just participating in sports, but having winning teams and having students that can get scholarships off of those teams? Topics for discussion included additional coaching support, equipment and facility needs at the field house, softball, baseball facility and field house needs, and the bathrooms at the field house needs renovation, the public bathrooms. We talked about the head volleyball coach. That was a program that we reintroduced last year. That coach is a dollar coach. We talked about some pay for that coach and what that will look like. And we collaborated earlier, Ms. Schaffner, myself, and Ms. Hamilton. And we started off with a salary of $1,800 that we're going to ask the board to approve for the head volleyball coach. And we will reevaluate again at the end of the year. We talked about their transportation concerns, that students are leaving. Let's say we have a game at 6 o'clock that is 2.5 hours away. Some students are leaving at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the day, and that absentee issue and checkout issue, how are we going to deal with that as a collective staff? And that was mostly brought up by the principals and talking about establishing time to leave, time to get back. So we have a solution for dealing with that issue moving forward. Again, communication improvements. This meeting helped. That was a direct quote. Had not had a coaches meeting since COVID. They would like to at least have an annual meeting with the superintendent of schools regarding athletics. And Ms. Schaffner and I are more than happy to accommodate our head coaches and have those meetings. We talked about student participation and recruitment, and we talked about community engagement in our sports program and what that would look like. So my recommendations for realignment that I'm asking for approval on tonight is is each team has requested one additional dollar coach position. The high school folks have said that this would help them maintain the embedded credit documentation. If they had someone that they could assign to that, and also someone that they could assign for checking students out after contests when they are away from the school system. We talked about equipment management, that they could help with some equipment management. We talked about the communication of having an additional coach, transportation coordinator to sign students in and out, academic monitoring, and the embedded credit responsibilities. So tonight, I have recommended an assistant principal of CTE. During the interview process with that assistant principal, it came out that he has not only been the CTE supervisor for Cabell Midland High School. He was also the athletic director there and has extensive experience in that. It was recommended during the interview. Ms. Kahn sat in on that interview. We asked him if he would be interested in being our athletic director. And he is willing to pick up the responsibilities of athletic director for the high school. We talked about how there are events that have to occur over holidays and weekends. So we would like to add 20 additional work dates to his calendar to help with that. And the supplement for the athletic director right now is $6,000. We would offer him an additional $3,000 as a supplement. In further discussion, we talked about middle school athletics and some of the problems that we are having with middle school athletics and how we can mitigate those circumstances. So the middle school athletic program will function independently to strengthen the existing programs and expand opportunity for student participation. So potential areas of growth that we would like to see at the middle school is we would like to reestablish cheerleading because they do not have cheerleading at the middle school. And I feel that's a spirit thing and getting the kids together and having pep rallies. They do not have track and field, and they do not have soccer that feeds into the high school soccer program. So additional recommendations would be to increase the athletic director supplement from $750 per school to $2,400 annually per school to attract an athletic director that can give each of those schools love and attention. We feel strongly that increasing that salary for the number of work or that supplement will recruit somebody to oversee athletics at those schools. We also would like to move all of the middle school funding resources that have been housed at the high school to the middle school. Speaking with Coach Gray, it's very difficult for him to purchase something because of the structure of the programs. Marlington Middle School has agreed to be the home school for that money and to manage that for the football team. And I feel like that would be a step in the right direction to give those schools control over their funding and the spending. So transfer and then establish a clear financial accountability and oversight procedure. Again, we established that with the head coaches being responsible for their accounts and signing off on requisitions. We talked about the procurement process. We talked about when you have to get 3 bids, when you have to get quotes and explain that to them, explain the requisition, the PO, the invoicing, the justification that you received it and turning it in for those to be paid and timelines associated with those with the coach. We also talked about transportation. So transportation costs have placed a significant burden on our athletic programs and our fundraising efforts. They feel that that's an extreme amount of their time to pay for transportation. So the recommendation is that the Board of Education assume the full cost of transportation along with the financial conditions below for our athletic programs. This will help promote greater equity among athletic programs, reduce fundraising pressures on our teams, increase student participation, improve supervision and accountability of our teams, and greater consistency across our program. In addition, this would allow transportation procedures to be standardized for our students. It would establish some professional responsibilities for our teams. We would have appropriate interaction with our students. We could have our social media expectations, communication guidelines, and maintain professional boundaries. So transportation and student supervision is policy 8600. And we talked about, oh wait, still on the same thing. Got to turn another page. Sorry about that. So last page. So general athletic support, and before I ask you to pay for this, I wanted to put a dollar to it and comparison to other things. So student athletes would travel to competition using school provided transportation, a bus. The total annual cost of athletic transportation funded through local funds would be $40,516.48. That's comparable to what was done last year for all the various transportations. Students could return home with a parent or a guardian after proper authorization and sign-out procedures have been completed. That's where the extra coach comes in to help with that process. Pocahontas County Schools has a long history of investing in programs and services that benefit our students and the community. For example, the county contributes approximately $12,612.70 in annual transportation support for Adventure Pocahontas. Additionally, activity trips for academics cost us about $4,250, and that is academic competitions and so forth. We pay for that. We pay for the transportation for these programs. Annually, Pocahontas County Schools provide $7,500 towards the administrative costs and the salary of the West Virginia Extension Service agent. This year, we funded Energy Express at the cost of $8,424.47. And we contribute $12,500 annually to our local libraries. Given these long-standing commitments, I am asking the Pocahontas County Board of Education to also make a meaningful investment in transportation needs for our student athletes and to pick up that cost out of local funds for our student athletes. Reliable transportation is essential to ensuring equitable access to extracurricular activities and providing students opportunities that contribute to their academic, social, and personal growth. School transportation would remain available for return trips, even if it's just the coach and the bus driver on there. Mr. Williams and I spent many days traveling back late at night with just us and the bus driver, but all students rode to the competition together on the bus. It builds team spirit, it builds camaraderie, it builds consistency, and it builds high expectations for our students. And long term, it will build our athletic programs when you don't have to worry about your ride. So this change would also eliminate concerns regarding students being picked up by multiple locations by various people. Our vision statement for athletics. Athletics are an extension of our classroom. Our goal is to develop student athletes who demonstrate integrity, discipline, accountability, perseverance, leadership, and teamwork while representing their schools and their communities with pride. One team, one purpose, every child.
Good work.
Thank you.
So a couple questions that I have is, are the coaches gonna support this, that everybody rides together?
I felt like that was transportation has been something that has hindered them.
Now, will that be for all sports, including golf? I know.
I'm asking for all athletic trips to be paid for, yes,
And for all schools in the county.
and for all schools in the county.
Do we have enough bus drivers to do this? I mean, because if a bus driver's out till midnight, he can't drive the next day.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Huh?
Yeah, he does.
Well, let's see, important
It
question.
might not add, just because somebody does it, I don't think they can, according to what is stipulated as their guidelines. Not to call anybody out, but I don't think they can. Where is he? He's not good at it. He could tell, might. Hmm,
Have that sleep time.
yeah, they do have to have a rest, it's a mandatory rest time, and if it's violated and they pull your CDL and find out that you haven't kept to that, then guess what? You just inherited a whole pile of must. So I guess that would be a concern. It's not my concern, I know you're asking for permission, and I would ask Ms. Hamilton, do we have the money to do this?
That would be my
Mhm.
question.
Mine-
Do we
mine as
have the
well.
budget for this?
We're looking at roughly 57,000. And so we're creating two positions out of that at 2,400 each. Is that correct?
Yes,
And then a 9,000 supplement. And what is his salary?
the assistant principal salary.
Yes.
I do not know his exact salary.
We would need to know that. I think that would be pertinent,
Yeah.
to look at the whole picture, because we're gonna be adding a $9,000 supplement,
We would
plus
be,
hiring two.
well, salary is based on years of experience.
Mhm.
So whatever his salary is earned. the supplement here that what I'm asking for that's above and beyond what we already have is $3,000. Because we have a $6,000 supplement that we give for the athletic director.
Right, but 9,000 added to his
His
salary.
current salary.
Mhm.
And then we're proposing 3,000 more for that is the cost of the 20 days.
You're just adding $3,000 to his salary, basically.
Yes, because the 20 extra days is
Well,
$6,000.
It don't make any difference what his salary is, because that's
It
how
does
many
not.
years of service that he has.
That's right.
It makes a difference for our budget. I think it makes a difference and I think it's relevant.
How would it make a difference in the budget? Because you gotta, adding $3,000 is all you're doing.
Well, this comes on the cusp of us, what was it, 80 to 100,000 for
That's, and this,
VP of athletics prior to that? I think it's worth knowing.
we have approximately a $3 million carryover. We have the money in the budget to do this. And that was presented out at a board meeting at the end of the year.
And so he's going to be the athletic director for the high school. He's going to be the vice principal and he's going to be over CTE.
Yes, and that's not uncommon.
No.
That happens across the state.
Do you have to answer this tonight? Can we sleep on it? Can we?
We are in need to get somebody in the position. I went to the WVSSAC rules meeting for principals, and there's a lot that has to be uploaded into that new site. The sooner we get him here, the sooner we get him doing this and supporting our teams, I think it's the better off our county will be. We built the capacity. We met with the coaches. I feel like this is an alternative. You ask for an alternative to hiring a position. So I've broken it down into various avenues, with the largest chunk of change going to benefit the student athletes with the transportation.
The two $2,400 positions, how are they going to be classified?
As extracurricular, just like they are now.
Mhm.
It's just an increase,
And those are for the middle schools.
one for each middle school. And we feel like we're gonna, the principals, we collectively feel like we will be able to recruit somebody, asking all the work that they had to, well, you know what, Ms. Schaffner? You were the athletic director at Green Bank and she was involved in this conversation. Would you like to speak on this for us? You can come right on up here. I'll scooch over.
So I was co-athletic director at Green Bank with Missy Jordan. And we had to oversee, middle school football always was it was hard to navigate, because you had to collaborate with the high school athletic director, to coordinate middle school football. And even though the athletic director at the high school oversaw middle school athletics, the principals were still in charge of being at every game, and overseeing the financials, as well as middle school basketball. So you had girls and boys basketball. And that entailed everything from scheduling, coaches meetings, concession stand, referees. And I will put it right out there. There were some days that Missy and I one of us was strictly athletics that day. We had a game that day. It's all I focused on was athletics. I didn't have the time to do other duties that I might need to do because we were so focused on athletics. And then you're there till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, until the game's over. So the $2,400 would help compensate for the time that you're putting towards your scheduling, the games, the concession stands, the referees. And it is also the hope that you will build some future programs so that they can support the high school programs later on.
Mhm.
And we kind of came up with that $2,400, looking at supervising 3 sports at $800 a sport, and that's what we came up with. $2,400.
Yes.
Mhm. And so given that it took so much time, at the middle school level That's understandable, for the 2,400 positions, but do you think then, how much time? I think it was estimated when we talked last meeting that it was going to take about 60% of their time for the high school, for the athletic director.
That's why we want to add the additional 20 days. So 20 days, they could work a day over Thanksgiving break. They could work a day over Christmas break.
Yeah.
Whereas before, we didn't get paid. I was a 215 at Green Bank, so I didn't get paid those days to work over.
Mhm.
And $750 when you look at the grand scheme of things, $750 with all the hours that you put in doesn't go very far. So with the additional 20 days, that gives them the leeway to make the schedule, to work on the referees. So if they have to go in over Christmas break to make some changes because we had weather delays or whatever, they have that leeway. Or if they have a Saturday game that they have to be at, that gives them that opportunity to make up that time.
Okay. Thank you.
And this is, so essentially you built on to the assistant principal's position and scrap the whole.
That's correct. When personnel season rolls around, we will deal with that position appropriately in personnel season, like a.
And so the requirements, should this change, should he, no longer wish to take on that responsibility, and then we're back, we're not redefining that athletic director role and putting administrative guidelines on it, correct?
No, we're asking him via mutual agreement to take additional 20 days and $3,000. And he has already spoken to Ms. Schaffner and he has agreed to do that.
I understand. And I'm speaking to if that would not continue, we're not redefining that role of athletic director to be an administrative position.
Well, that
Moving
is
forward.
defined. That is defined right now in the job posting. If he decided not to do that, and we abolish the job posting that is presently created during personnel season, we would have to re-establish a standalone athletic director position as we have at the middle schools. So by doing this, we won't have that position. And we've already reestablished that. We would have to revisit and say, what is that position and what will it look like if it's not an administrator currently at the school? So I can't say unless he leaves, then that would be a conversation for that time.
Well, I have two things. First of all, good work on the idea. I think it could work. Number one is, this is the first we're expected to make a decision on this tonight. We hadn't even thought about it yet. And we don't even know what the value is on this position. I think if it comes to a vote, I'm gonna vote no, because I don't understand the role and I don't know how much it's gonna cost. That's why.
It's going to cost $9,000. 3,000 above what we already have. So it's going to be an additional $3,000 supplement. The 20 days is $6,000 and a $3,000 supplement, plus the 2,400 for each of the middle school. Plus, I am asking you to pay for the transportation cost, which last year equaled $40,516.48. So I'm asking the board to pick up all the transportation for student athletes. I'm asking them to approve increasing the athletic pay to recruit athletic directors for the two middle schools from $750 to $2,400. And I'm saying, let's give him the additional days to work during the holidays to get some things done when it's a break time and there is no problem, and $3,000 supplement. So the total cost is those things added together. And it's been brought up multiple times in multiple discussions. So when I met with the coaches, I developed a plan to move our athletics forward. I would implore us to approve this tonight so we can move athletics forward in a very positive manner. This ended on a positive note. The coaches were positive. I feel like this is the direction to go.
Can we have the information that we're asking for so that we can make that decision?
What are you asking for exactly?
Well, we asked for the salary,
Sarah, can you,
Um,
calculate a salary?
and I think Connie asked earlier about. Yeah, I mean, I think Connie touched on this earlier about the qualifications as well. I mean, can we know a little bit?
Absolutely. Ms. Schaffner, would you like to speak about qualifications?
What he had.
What he had and what he has done? And then anything else you would like to add?
So this individual, was actually a CTE Academy supervisor in Cabell County. And at the same time as the CTE Academy coordinator supervisor, he also coached, softball and baseball for, I don't know if it was the high school or the middle school, league, but he has also, been the athletic director in the multiple positions that he has held. As far as when I discussed with him yesterday, it's my understanding, and of course we would have to verify this, that he is at 23 years plus a master's plus 45. So based on that, I don't have the salary schedule right in front of me.
Yes, Sarah, would you please do that so we can make a decision on it?
So when you hire somebody like that, do you bring them in on like I don't know, like a probationary type thing?
All employees are probationary their first year when they're out of county, and then they continue on continuing contract. We did verify references and
He had glowing references. They said if you had a cinder block wall in your office and you told him to get through that cinder block wall, he would. The comment was that he wore many hats in his role as academy supervisor, but he also made sure that the athletics part was taken care of too. So, multiple evenings he might be doing something CTE, then the other evenings he'd be doing athletics. So he really did have glowing reviews as far as both athletics and the CTE supervisor part.
and an amazing interview.
Yes.
Has Mrs. Wagner met this guy?
She was in on the interview in the selection process.
She was in on the select.
And she felt good about it.
Yes, and so did Deirdre Klein.
This will be great help to Mrs. Wagner with him coming in with this experience as an assistant principal.
Mhm.
And we also
Yeah, but she's gonna be a first year principal. This is
We'll
gonna be nothing
also-
but help her out.
brought this up to the coaches, this idea, and they seemed receptive to that idea as well.
Mhm. And the 40,000 for transportation, you said you're basing that off of transportation last year?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we provided transportation and that's,
We know the cost of transportation because it comes out of the student athletic accounts, and Sarah can pull that. And that's the general cost of that, that is the cost of transportation that our teams had to pay last year.
do you know what sports currently don't have? Like I know that football has a bus, right? So and I believe basketball,
Mm-mm.
no?
Middle school basketball does not.
Well, okay, I was talking about the high school, but, okay. And so you're
Can
saying
I
all
just-
schools, all sports would
Can I
have,
interject on that transportation? Just because I have the coaching experience and the athletic director experience. When I coached at the high school, there were some times that we didn't take a bus, okay? And that's fine. Dependent on the location, like if we're going to Tigers Valley, it's what, 45 minutes over the mountain, it's not that far. But for some trips, families, parents had to take days off work to come to the school to pick up their child. So now you've placed the financial burden on your families
Mhm,
because they had to lose their wages to pick up their kid to take them to the game.
mhm,
Okay.
right.
There's other times that I can think of some players that I had that maybe our game was in
Clarksburg or Fairmont, but I would drive down to Marlinton to pick them up because they didn't have a ride to the game.
Well, whenever I coached at Green Bank, this comes very familiar, we was playing Beelington. And we didn't have a bus. Some kids got there an hour ahead of time, some got there a half hour, some stopped at McDonald's and filled up on hamburgers, so they was sluggish when they got to the game.
Right.
Whenever they ride a bus, you dictate what they do.
Right.
Which helps that coach out.
And I can recall in my time as athletic director at Green Bank, there was one incident that we traveled over the mountain to Pendleton County. And one of the student athletes did not make it there in time. And in fact, the game was already over by the time they got
Yeah,
there.
that's what happens. I think it's a great idea because we haven't done anything for sports in Pocahontas County for a long time. I mean, really, excuse me, Sam, one of the big things was the bus. I know, fundraisers had to work really hard because that bus was hanging over their head. And this is something that they don't have to worry about anymore. But I'd also, while we're in the middle of this, I'd like to see Missy Price come and give us the boosters like she was talking about. She come in and talk to us, was that while you all was on the board or before?
Before.
And give us a breakdown of the football boosters. And she was gonna come back in 2 weeks and
We'll follow up and see if she can be at the next meeting.
I haven't seen this.
We will follow up because that is an annual requirement.
Buses are a big deal.
No, I agree. I like the transportation idea. I think that it would help families. I think it would help students teach. I think it would help all the way around. I know I've transported many, golf team and, all that. So I think that would be beneficial.
We may also build the programs because kids who, it's a hardship. Gas is expensive. Parents' wages are very near and dear, so it may actually build, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very well. I think putting it on a probationary and hopefully this guy can build the program, be a mentor to whoever might take the middle school to get a feeder program going to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my only concern would be that he would have enough time for everything else that he would need to do, like with the CTE and. But you don't feel that's an issue.
I do not feel this an
Not
issue.
with the addition of the 20 days. I think the addition of the 20 days, he's gonna have a little bit of flexibility that if he needs to take a day that, not part of our contract work day, he can work those days to make up the time to ensure that everything is in proper order.
Is maintenance like of the field and all of our, is that gonna fall under him?
Well, maintenance of the field falls on the head custodian of the school. They should be mowing and getting the field ready, drawing the lines on the field and field preparation for the contest. We discussed adding the additional coach to help with the dollar coach to help assist with those types of things.
Well, if this guy could do it at Cabell Midland, he can certainly do it in Pocahontas County.
I would agree. I would agree.
Free.
Because they have a highly successful sports program and CTE program. They're leading the state in both programs.
And the student count is
As long as
in it.
Miss Hamilton says we have the money and I think we're at a tipping point here.
Yes.
You either get behind the sports program or you're gonna have to scrap.
I agree.
You can't nickel and dime the whole way and expect performance. It just
That's right.
doesn't go that way.
And I think it's time for us to step up to the plate and show athletics that we're not just talking the talk, we're willing to walk the walk. And this is that contribution to that, starting with, you don't have to work so hard to raise money to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick this up because it matters to us.
Okay. All right, she's coming, I guess, with the wages. So,
It don't matter. It's gonna be years of service. You gotta pay that and you gotta.
I mean, he's entitled
The
to
most
his
qualified
salary.
person.
So,
I'm not suggesting that he's not.
but with
No,
that
but-
salary, his wages is the assistant principal's job that we had vacant. So that salary is a salary that's going to be paid regardless of if this plan is approved or not.
correct.
Yeah, because it's a vacancy that we have to fill. It's not a
Understood.
new position.
Understood.
Yeah, we needed the assistant principal,
Correct.
and it sounds like he has the years.
Yes.
He'll be good for the help. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we took the special ed away from the assistant up there, right?
She's the principal. She's still on the.
It's Jeanette's.
That's Jeanette. She handles special ed.
Yes.
She's keeping it.
And we got released
For
from
Dr.
the
Reed.
state, so. She must be doing a good job.
So as part of this too, we're agreeing to the dollar positions, correct, for each team?
Yes, please.
Mhm. Is one all they need?
That's what we discussed, and they said that that would meet their needs.
So we are agreeing to provide transportation
Yes.
for everything. The dollar coach, the additional dollar coach is gonna help make sure that the accounting and so forth
Field is lined.
and the kids are accountable for coming to school so they can participate. Additional money for the volleyball.
Oh, yes, the volleyball coach. She is, last year when I arrived, and I went back and checked the agenda to see when this occurred. And much to my amazement, it was July 1. July 1, this conversation came up. We didn't have a volleyball team. It was a hot topic for discussion. The board agreed. Do you remember? The board agreed we would have the volleyball team. It's been extremely successful this year. At the meeting, the volleyball coach, a dollar coach, asked if she could be paid as a head coach, and all the other head coaches are paid. So in researching with the two ladies that aren't in the room right now, we decided that to align her position at the $1,800 that she should have. She should be paid as the head coach. It's not an unreasonable expectation for her to expect that.
Sure.
And we now have the court, we have the net.
Yeah.
I think our team was pretty successful last year. We had heard some compliments when we were out. So we want to support those athletes on that team, and we want to support that coach.
Sure. In that spirit, did you have here on the equipment and facility needs? Has there been any study done to know exactly what we need and what that cost would be?
We don't have a dollar price on those types of things now.
Okay.
But I will tell you that since we hired the McKinley architectural firm, and this occurred, I think you ladies participated in the audience, that we need to get down to the safe softball, baseball field that looks like it just needs a lot.
Yes.
It needs a lot of work, and I didn't realize how much work it needed until I was at the training at the SSAC training. Coaches should have a private place to park. They should have a private place to get ready and get dressed. There's a whole bunch of things that we don't have in place at that softball and baseball field that we need to get in place. We need to evaluate that. We need to get some restrooms. We don't even have restrooms for them to get dressed in. And the other student athletes that come in, they bust down there in the road. We have to have some parking for ADA compliance. We need a lot. I didn't realize that was our place we played ball. Another thing we talked about at the meeting is on the baseball field. And this is long-term. And my husband and I was actually driving by the soccer team practices on the baseball field. And that's not great for the baseball field. So maybe you're looking at some place for a practice location for the soccer team, for them to have their own space. I don't know about at the end of the football field, there's some room there. Maybe we could get a practice space there for them. So we have done a comprehensive look. When I did my walkthroughs, I think I showed some pictures up here. Mr. McClung talked to me about the athletic, the team rooms at the high school, both for the basketball teams. They're in ill repair and need some attention. So we have looked at things. We haven't priced all of those out because that would take time for me to walk through and look at them and get an estimate for what that would cost to do that. I think the softball, baseball field is number one.
Yeah.
It's a number one issue. And as a superintendent, I'm a little bit embarrassed of it. I think we can do better. We have the money to do better. So I've looked at those types of things. I just don't have a price tag on them. Once I get a price tag, I will bring it back before the board.
Great.
Thank you.
Wonder if we can we move on to the next and let her catch us up in the interest of time. We're not gonna do anything with that position till all the information's in, and she's back there working diligently, I'm sure. So we'll put that on a temporary hold, move on to discussion and action proposed policy revision, home instruction, second reading. We'll put hope scholarship, second reading. Have we had any community feedback?
We have a comment form out if Mrs. Hammonds would bring that up for us.
Have we been reviewed by legal counsel?
Yes, I spoke to Mary Catherine Tuckwiller about that today. Regarding, there was one thing that we had that Mrs. Dunlap had marked out that we need to reinstate. And on policy 9270, the homeschool instruction B, we need to reinstate the stat assessment that's required. That was actually covered at the WVSFAC. So we'll have to reinstate B. And I think, I gotta take my glasses off, I can't see. The virtual course, we had marked that out, and I do not believe that is required anymore. On the other policy, I was speaking with her earlier, and she said the only recommendation that she would have for that would be to move from the 1/7 to a 1/8, since we went to an 8-period day at the high school, which would mean the 1/14 would go to a 1/16.
Well, I have a list of questions that I would like submitted to council. And then I would like to have, I'd ask that maybe the answers and the written review come to all of us, all 5 of us. Okay. So that we can take a look, and then, you know, just so no one's surprised, if the review supports it, I do intend to bring amendments to the next meeting. And you know, rather do that with those items, council's items if you can. I'll have these, I just want to pass them down. No, you can take one. Okay, keep you on the same page, those are the questions.
Thank you. So we have one comment. Would you like me to read that, Dr. Williams?
Yes, can you read that out loud for us?
Okay, so it came from Aaron Pugh. And he says he wants to comment on both policies that are out. And then he says, is this a policy to pay directly for these events and services? Past experience, most are judged by volunteers and are usually free. Is the money being collected with the intention of going into a fund specifically to promote these events? The Policy could further drive a wedge between students enrolled in public school system and the students of our homeschool community and their families who have chosen a different path. Let me get a mic before I continue. Whatever we choose, the education and opportunity for every student in the county should be the primary consideration. These policies could be misconstrued as gatekeeping and excluding. It could likely push Hope Scholarship and homeschool students farther from the school system and alienate them. If there is a high cost for certain events, sharing that particular financial load is understandable. Charging for events such as a social study fair where the community members judge for free and there is no exceptional cost portrays this in a way to further shun those who are interested in alternative educational journey. Pinching pennies in this fashion might come across as well stingy. I'm sure there are a lot to consider and some activities that might require funding beyond the norm that could justify this. However, if an event is not straining the finances and if there are volunteers helping to make that event happen, then charging members of the community to participate could have a negative effect. But I would request that the policy change clearly specify that. Please consider the optics and reverberations of this policy and how it could impact a small community such as ours and would be seen, even in practice, it is lenient and not meant to restrict the opportunity of our community's children.
That's the only comment that we have. Good comment.
I don't like the fee structure. I don't think it should be fees at all associated with reentry, participation. Thank you, man.
So the only thing I have to follow up with that is I want to print this off and I need one more to read. This is what, Ms. Hamilton received from her coordinator at what's that office called? The Office of Finance, and I would draw your attention to the second page, the highlighted, and I just want to read for the public and for the board members under item F, West Virginia Code 18-31-8. It states, the board, in consultation with the Department of Education, shall ensure that any public school or school district providing such services receive the appropriate pro rata share of the student's Hope Scholarship funds based on the percentage of total instruction provided to the student by the public school or the school districts. County boards and charter schools governing boards shall charge tuition to Hope Scholarship students who enroll for services in public school within the county or within a public charter school.
So let me ask you this, and maybe that's my ignorance. But if I have a child that's homeschooled, but they're not a Hope Scholarship, and then do they fall under this county boards and charter school? So we're kind of lumping them into this Hope Scholarship when actually they're not receiving any money at all. So I know there was a change of fee, but is that the right thing to do?
I think that is a discussion and a decision that is up to this Board of Education. This decision and the fee structure was compiled by the teachers and a committee within our school system. So the school system employees felt like that was a fair fee structure. If the Board of Education does not wish to support that decision and to make a different decision, then we will make the revision that you would like to make. But we have to be thoughtful that you're asking employees to supervise students that we have not received public funding for, and they are not technically supervision of those students. Who is monitoring those students, and how are our public school employees being reimbursed for supervising students that are not enrolled in our school system? That's the question at hand. And the other question at hand is, we get funded at a 1,400 floor. Are we saying to the legislative branch and to the West Virginia Board of Education that we have so much money, we don't need funding for every student that's in our school system? Those are the questions at hand. Now, it's not the superintendent wants, the board wants, the county wants. There has to be a meet in the middle. And I will respect whatever your wishes are, but I'll also respect the wishes of the committee that put this policy together, that are school employees.
Did it say you shall?
We shall charge for Hope Scholarship.
Huh?
Hope
We
Scholarship.
should, if
You
it's,
shall charge tuition, and that is in the code that you provided, but there is also an additional code, which is 18-225B, where it separates extracurriculars and athletics. And so we do not, if you look at that, we are not mandated to charge. It does not say shall. It says that we may charge costs of participation for extracurriculars and athletics. I think that this is why and I understand, because there's code, there's policy, law says one thing, and then our policies are saying something different. I don't see where the revision lines up with Neola's guidance. And I think that I would really appreciate, that's the reason that, I drafted these questions to run it by council, by legal. I would like to see their response, and then let us, as a board, make a decision.
So would we like to read these questions for the public so they know what they are?
If you feel it pertinent to do so.
I mean, we are having a discussion about the policy. We're talking about revising it. Would you like to read it?
That's fine.
That'd be great.
Sure. So I'm asking, these are the authorities that I'm looking at. So West Virginia Code 1831 AF. It provides that county boards shall charge tuition to Hope Scholarship students who enroll for services in public school within the county. And it ties payment to the appropriate pro rata share of a student's Hope Scholarship funds based on the particular level of instruction provided. West Virginia Code 18225D, which provides that reasonable fees may be charged to the student to cover the cost of participation in interscholastic athletic events and other extracurricular activities. West Virginia Department of Education Office of School Finance Guidance, August of 2025, Section 2.2A, states that districts shall charge tuition for services, including individual academic classes and extracurricular activities. It sets the rate for individual academic classes as the pro rata share of the annual scholarship, calculated by comparing the number of contact minutes to be earned in the course of the school time to that of the full-time student, and then directs to establish reasonable and necessary tuition charges for students who participate in extracurricular activities without prescribing a method for that calculation. So my questions, as between 1831 AF and 18225D, which governs fees for athletics and extracurricular participation? Does the more specific statute control here? And if so, which is the more specific? So Section 2.2A prescribes a formula for academic classes, but supplies only reasonable and necessary standard for extracurriculars. What must the county be able to show to establish that an extracurricular charge is reasonable and necessary? And specifically, may that charge be derived as a fraction of the Hope Scholarship amount, or does it need to be supported by the costs associated with participation? Our current fee was derived as 1/7 of the Hope Scholarship amount based on a 7-period schedule. Given the move to block scheduling for the high school and the guidance contact minutes standard, does our athletic class tuition require recalculation? The contact minutes formula require proration for students who enroll after the start of a term or a season. A family joining with roughly 45 days remaining is currently charged the same amount as one enrolled for the full term. Does 1831-4's provision on charging the Hope Scholarship students fees above or in addition to a provider's regular fee schedule based on Hope participation have any application to how our athletic fees compare with what enrolled students pay for the same activity? And finally, where fees are collected, does the West Virginia Board of Education Policy 8100's requirement that tuition revenue be remitted and tracked to the applicable program impose any particular obligations on how we account for the funds? Right, I will submit those to the attorney and I will bring those back with an answer for the next meeting. Thank you.
So let me just go back to the time, but we are funded for 1,400 students. So, yeah. So I suppose the argument can be made, there's less than 900 students in this whole county. And so we're being funded for 500 more than are actually here. I know the reasons why. So it's not like we're saying we've got so much money, but we're trying to create some kind of goodwill to move these students back to the schools. And, you know, making it prohibitory. I don't know that this is a poor county, this state is a poor county, that's obvious. So now we're putting up roadblocks. Granted, yeah, you can do that if you want. But especially in sports and extracurriculars, you know, that gives them a road into the school. So, you know, we're already funded for those kids. Now we're getting buses, and I agree with it. We're getting buses for everybody. So we're running the bus. I don't know how many kids are want to come back. I know of 3. You're not talking about a huge population. You're talking about 3 kids.
Here's the question that I have. If we don't make some kind of arrangement, is the coach responsible for them kids? What makes us responsible? What makes our coaches, our athletic director, who would be responsible if they're not enrolled in our school?
I think there has to be some type of fee, some type of agreement, some type of contract that, one, we are assuming that we have to pay insurance for them to play. But I don't think it should be $750. Who could afford that? We don't have any pros here that I'm aware.
You never know, we might get one.
We might.
Well,
You never know. There might be. I think so, I stand corrected, but in the meanwhile, they're not gonna come because they can't afford it. I think it's gonna be number one.
I think there's 2 different ways. And I think this way. They apply for the Hope Scholarship and they get to $5,495. 2 weeks after school starts, they decide to enroll their kid in school. Is that fair? And people say, well, it's Pocahontas County taxpayer money. That $5,400 was also taxpayer money. So how do we separate?
I'm not talking about curriculum. You know, there is no argument, and it's very well laid out how much you could charge for curriculum. I'm talking about extracurriculars and sports.
Football, basketball. But there's gotta be something
There has to be something.
that says that we are responsible for that being, whether it's girls basketball, boys basketball, whatever.
I
That,
agree.
that
You're implying that the money transaction would be some kind of legal binding.
yeah, something's gotta be to bind to say that Dwayne Gibson is coach at the high school and I want to put my kid in, something has to make him responsible for my child while my child's there.
I agree.
Can we not have something maybe from council on that? Can we add that to the questions? Because, you know, if the law provides that we don't have to charge for athletics, extracurriculars, then I'm assuming that, you know, they thought of the liability. I mean, maybe let's get what council says would, they could answer that question. I don't think.
What would be liable?
But football uniforms is gonna cost, close to $1,000. For a helmet and shoulder pads and stuff.
I want the word tuition taken out. Tuition implies that it's a profit term. When we don't make a profit, we are.
Mr. Gibson, this is from Ms.
Remember Hall, and that's code. That's not in our policy. It's in, this is not our policy that goes to.
Code specifies, you know, unfortunately, they do call it tuition and we do have to charge. We are mandated to charge for curriculum.
But we can set what we charge.
It's a percentage of contact minutes, percentage of instruction.
Yeah, I mean, it probably needs to be committed. I don't have an argument. But the extra stuff that usually you have dollar coaches, you know, with a couple head coaches and stuff like that, so. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I see it as a roadway in. If you're gonna support sports, you're gonna support the activities that make school pleasant, then we have to get behind it. So,
Where
I
I
guess-
guess is with me submitting this to the attorney and bringing it back at the next board meeting before the final reading. And at the final reading, if you want any changes, we will make those revisions.
Yeah, if the attorneys recommend the changes, we need to be aware of those and do something off, but for now, I guess we're just on.
So we can't put it out for the third reading and then revise it at the next meeting if we need to, or.
Yeah, I mean, you can put it out, but it's not gonna be the same policy. I bet you. Just because attorneys do what attorneys do, they tweak it here, or there, and so, you know. Okay. Family. All right, so what do you want to do? You want to continue to put it out, or wait until we get comments?
It's whatever you want, but we can still put it out, see if there's more comments, and then on the third reading, get it back, make revisions after we've done the comment period, then put it out again for the final time after the revision.
Okay,
So that's still putting us 2 months down the road, getting this policy approved.
yeah, sports.
We have to get
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have to do it.
Do it right, because we don't want to open ourselves up to, you know, litigation because of this, that, and the other. So, okay. So,
Need a motion to go ahead and move it to the next reading.
we'll make a motion to hold it till
She's gonna put it out on comments, see if I've got this right. Put it out, continue to put it out on comments,
submit it to the attorney.
attorneys for their input and, possible, amendment. And then
When we get everything back, we'll make whatever
changes are necessary.
put it out for the final reading.
That's correct.
What you need to do is get a motion to table till the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to table till the next meeting.
Well, we're not tabling.
Yeah, you are, you're tabling because you're not voting on it, because you're wanting it to come back at the next meeting and redone.
So it's not gonna be redone at the next meeting. We can't redone it to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Basically, we're just doing what I said to do and rolling on for the third reading.
Yes.
For input. So I'm gonna make a motion.
That was what I said was my motion. All in favor, say aye.
Any, all right.
So can we go back to double back to the last
Yes.
thing?
Yes.
I am not prepared. I do not want to read this individual's salary out because we haven't read anybody else's salary.
Right, okay.
But I will pass it down for everybody to look at. This is,
That's the supplement for CTE, athletic, that's for assistant.
and then there's the extra days.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the position for the, let's see. The superintendent's proposal as listed, which has been discussed. That is inclusive of transportation, the middle school, the head volleyball coach,
The assistant principal,
the
the extra dollar coaches. Even
Well, we could we put the, Hope Scholarship. Prospective reentry fees associated with sports into this.
I think it's a standalone policy. I think it's a standalone policy.
Sports.
Good try, good try.
Let's complete this motion, Craig. I make a motion that we accept the superintendent treasurer. I second yours, Mrs. Rex.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All in favor?
Any opposed?
It passes.
I'm good.
I'm still a better student than I was last year. Yeah, it's a lot.
We took it out. Good job, Craig. We talked it out.
And kudos to the team that went to talk to the coaches. I think probably did a lot more goodwill than what you're aware of. And yes, hopefully you can circle back at the end of their seasons and hear their input and get ready for next.
We will. Good job.
All right, new business, discussion and approval of MOU for Nature Mountain.
I feel so good. And as a mother of an athlete, thank you. That was all really amazing. She was over there kicking me. That's awesome. That's great. So. Yeah, she's the foot and heel first. My name is Tracy Valash. I'm the founder and director of Nature Mountain Classroom. For the last 5 years, we've been providing hands-on outdoor education while meeting common standards for your students, pre-K through 12. In front of you, you have, let's see, in front of you in the packet I gave you, you have our proposed calendar for this year. Please consider this if approved, your personal invitation from me to join us on any and all adventures. Behind that, so you have vibrating and then also chronological. And I just wanted to go through the, just have a brief slideshow. And I'll go through the curriculum packet that's on the right, and then I'll revisit what's on the left. So starting with with our playground adventures. These are our pre-K, K1, we visit them. This year, we're proposing one in the fall, where we'll visit the schools. You can see the curriculum, what is an ecosystem attached there. These will all be provided to teachers once approved by you all, hopefully this evening, so the teachers can include these in their plans. So fall is what is an ecosystem. We will visit them at their school, so one at each elementary school with the help of our high school volunteers. Join us on those adventures. And then in the spring, they'll join us at Snowshoe doing the diverse habitats of West Virginia. And then if you go to our second grade slide, they're adorable, by the way. And then the next content is our Adventure Pocahontas. This was the very first program we ever started with, which is our 2nd through 5th grade program. Our 2nd graders ski, and you can see on here, it goes way beyond skiing. We work with local partners such as the Extension Service, Libraries, Forest Service, Future Generations University, and it's so neat. The teachers say that after doing our ski program, that kids are more independent, more willing to try new things. They keep up with their things at school more after doing this program. It's been an incredible journey with those 2nd graders. For 3rd grade, sorry. 3rd grade is all about hiking, and this is where our students start to travel around the county and really getting to see what's in their own backyards. It's neat to see students who haven't visited things that are right up the road or kind of hidden gems within Pocahontas County. In this curriculum, I was challenged by Dr. Williams and Stephanie Burns to not only align, having the content standard aligned, but actually number each individual content standard that we need. So on this packet here, you'll see visual arts S4.1. So that's the 4th grade standard that we're meeting while out on these adventures using tons of community volunteers that would elsewise be trying to get into the schools, trying to make arrangements with each individual school. One of the neat things about Nature Mountain Classroom is
we kind of streamlined all of these partners and programs so that every student in the county, whether you go to a small school like Hillsborough or a big school like Marlington, they're all getting pottery. They're all getting to go snorkeling. They're all getting to do these things that schools have in the past tried to set up on their own or raise funds for. Fourth grade is next on that list. And you'll see they snorkel, they meet every West Virginia history content standard while visiting Cat State Park, while visiting Watauga and touring the CCC Museum, seeing how our county went from logging industry into the tourism industry, just like they would read in a textbook, but they're actually visiting and seeing it. Then fifth grade is our mountain bike program. We partner closely with the Green Bank Observatory. In addition to visiting Green Bank Observatory, they come on all 4 adventures. Mr. Williams got to come on all of our mountain bike adventures this year. And just telling you about his glory days of mountain biking. And I keep hoping that he's gonna get back on it. It's been really neat to watch the kids support each other when they're trying these new things. There's a lot of soft skills that come out that we're really honing with this program, that, you know, resilience and all of those things that I love being able to share with your students. So that's our 2nd through 5th grade program. And then, oh, sorry, I forgot. So with this, we do make sure that every 5th grader, because we taught them how to ride a bike, we make sure that every 5th grader has their own mountain bike. So we do an assessment. This year, we're going to do safety checks with our schools, and Greenbrier Bikes have volunteered to check every 5th grader's bike. If they don't have one, we're going to give them one. So that will be added this year. Our 2nd through 5th graders, so they learn to ski in 2nd grade. Then we do refresher lessons 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And I actually had to add the upper intermediate, the blue bar, this past year. So when we started this program, 3% of our students were skiing. The other 97% had never skied before. We are now at 3% that are not skiing, and the rest, not only are they skiing, but you can see yellow is intermediate, or sorry, beginner, green is intermediate, and blue is what? Upper intermediate is the blue. And it was really exciting to be able to add that blue column this year in our data. We're actually being recognized by Altera Mountain Company, which is the parent company of Snowshoe. I will forward the link to a video that we created. I'm not going to show it tonight for sake of time. It is an incredible video. It just shows the work that we do in partnership together with our students and creating lifelong memories for these students. And then for real.
Do you want to send that video to Christy to put on our website so everybody can watch it?
Can't do that yet.
Oh, okay.
Only because, so it's kind of like a secret video. I had to get permission to even show it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I will, hopefully we win the award and then we can really blast it out. But it's still kind of like, there's like a secret peek.
Okay.
But I will share it with you guys. It's a really special video to watch our students in action. I know everybody thinks it's crazy that I take middle schoolers camping, but we have an army, and Stephanie got to join us on our 8th grade adventure last year, and it was a lot of work that went into it, and so many, you know, layers of approvals and things that needed to get done. But I hope that you got to see that the work is worth it, even though it's a lot.
It is.
It's so magical.
I experienced activities I've never even experienced. So it's an opportunity that children, and I wish my own children were able to experience.
And really, this is your invitation. Please join us, because seeing it is so different than reading about it. So anyway, moving on to our 6th and 7th grade adventure. Oh, that was important. Okay. We went to the observatory last year. It's just, the next slide is so exciting. Too excited. So last year we went to the Green Bank Observatory. We had just the absolute best time. These kids got to ride the mountain bikes in the middle of the night out to the 40-foot telescope and collect data. We had one of the students did his science fair project on it and went to states. Being able to really give our county as a gift to our students has been so magical. But this year, we are doing a novel study. Sorry, I'm very excited. A novel study on a book called River Rats, by a West Virginia author. This was a recommendation from Miss Erin Murphy-Doss from the middle school. She recommended this novel. I reached out to the author. He's coming to meet our students. So he's actually going to be a part of our adventure this year. He's going to meet with them firsthand. I provided having copies of all the books that she gave us a special price on, and then extended an additional special price on his second book that the seventh grade is doing this year. So we've been in close contact with Steve. He's coming. That'll be on Wednesday, October 7th, pending approval. And we have got, you'll see in your packet, this is the draft. So still a little bit more collaboration. I met today with so many people that have already added more to this. You'll notice in our overnight drafts, there's schedules, content, maps, but then at the back, you can see our the guides that we bring in. So we do background checks and then the volunteer training. These are typically ski schoolers or people from camping backgrounds that kind of work one-on-one with our kids alongside our teachers and educators. It kind of just adds a special person. Ms. Burns got to witness Breeze and Japheth working with our students, and they really add a lot of value to the program. We pay for all of that. We also give our overnight teachers a stipend. This year, we'll do Wednesday bell to bell, so that they won't take any special transportation. And then they'll come Thursday morning, regular time, and then go home Friday, regular time. So one night instead of two this year, just to kind of help on capacity for teachers. And we do give them a major mountain class, where it gives them a cash stipend as a thank you for that extra time for going above and beyond. They also get the best major mountain classroom swag that they all provide over. So if you want to come spend the night with us, so I highly recommend you join us for this one, or just come out and meet the author. I'm just, I'm excited about that program. You can go ahead to, 8th grade is coming up very quickly, scheduled for September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. More of a focus on transition from participant into more of a leadership role within the adventure program, and also a career focus. Students are going to get to actually pick some of their favorite adventures throughout the last couple of years, and then see what it looks like to work within that career. So if they want to go kayaking and boating, they're going to spend a half an hour with our aquatics team. They're going to learn a little bit about lifeguarding, certifications, what it takes to work in that field, for example. So more career focused. We always support the 8th grade luncheon that the Pocahontas County CTE hosts. I've been supporting the CTE teachers by conducting mock interviews with our partners. That's been a huge asset to the program, so we do that in partnership together. Our high school program is essentially a club / volunteer-based program. If you scan that QR code, it brings up a sign-up genius form. In that, it has the requirements at the top that students need to be required. They need to have at least a C, not so many, just how many absences you're allowed to have, anything about disciplinary, it's all in there. And there's an orange form they fill out, and they sign it, their parents sign it, the school signs it, and they bring it to me. I validate those hours, they get volunteer hours for helping. They're also working alongside different partners within the community, seeing those careers in action and getting to help with kind of some of their favorite adventures. The tourism club went from 7 participants to 40 last year, and we're expecting an even bigger number this fall as our adventure participants kind of move into the high school level. Our incoming freshmen have had the program since 4th grade. So it's getting really exciting to kind of see those layers of programming. And so they have the tourism club option. Do you mind going back 1 second? Sorry. They have the tourism club option at the high school. So still waiting on details on what that's going to look like this year. Currently working with WVU School of Business Tourism to do a special tour just for the tourism club, where they would get to kind of shadow that college within WVU. I'm hoping to do that in November. And we actually took the students, did a small group to the first ever tourism summit. They sat with tourism leaders, and we were the only high schoolers there, and everyone was very impressed. The kids did such a fantastic job showing up and being present. We did tours at Snowshoe over the winter, and then at the end of the year, we went to Ace Adventure Resort and did some high and low ropes, and the students actually learned some skills that they're going to help with on our middle school adventures. So I'm super excited to any seniors who volunteered with the program as something special, and the Sasquatch was even there to give those out as a nice addition towards the end. And then on the next slide, Snowshoe hosted, we had third graders hiking at the lake the same day, seniors did a walk day. This was the third year in a row, they got scheduled on the same day, and I said, never again. And I said, come to us where we are. We invited them, Snowshoe sent them all down the list. They got some really fantastic pictures, and then Snowshoe treated them to a special lunch, but the third graders didn't miss walkthrough day, they got an extra special walkthrough day. So that was.
And we scheduled it to save this year.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, like on purpose this time. Okay. And then, some of the teacher feedback, I touched a little bit on this, but it is on that right-hand side of your packet. Being year 6, I think one of my favorite things is the ongoing collaboration of consistency. The teachers have really gotten to know what the program looks like and have been able to give feedback over the years of what might fit better or ideas that they have, and we do our best to, accommodate those thoughts, ideas, or partners. So 100% of the teachers said that registration was managed well, sessions were relevant, adventure schedules were communicated and easy to follow. They were engaged in activities. They felt that their students were safe, presenters were well prepared, and content-centered needs were met for the class time given to Adventure Pocahontas. And then just some, feedback from the teachers. We still are working on some behavior issue like splitting, and really that's me saying to the teachers, you speak up early and often don't hold on to that information, because when I find out at the end of the day or at the end of the 4 sessions that there was an issue, I can't fix what I don't know about. And so I think that's just been more open communication with the teacher saying like, no, I want to know. Yes, I want to fix. And at the end of the day, especially with the middle school program, we at Nature's Mountain Classroom ultimately support whatever disciplinary decisions the schools say. So we are here to provide programming for the public schools, and we support whatever it is that the teachers and board and principals ask for. The unexpected outcomes being they were engaged, attendance was up, and they were excited to come to school. They look forward to going each time and surprised how they're willing to try new things. So just some really exciting things. Parent feedback might always be my favorite though. Parents agree that there's a good use of school time, their kids are safe, and that they're learning important information. It positively impacts how they feel about living in Pocahontas County, 98%. That's huge. We talk about attracting new people and getting our families to want to stay here. Increased interest in outdoor activities, but this one I think is really fun. 95% of parents who took the survey reported that this program has inspired them to try new adventures or pick up old ones. So that's saying to me that these kids are then inspiring their parents, and those physical and mental health benefits are just huge. And when we talk about raising healthy families, it's just really being important. And then of course, outdoor time. And I think maybe I talked so fast. So not only does this program bring about $500,000 in kind and direct benefits to the Pocahontas County school system, but we are also connecting tons and tons and tons of partners who want to work with your schools. And it's been fun because I kind of get to play the middleman in a sense and kind of help our schools have an even greater reach into the community. So we have communities and schools, and then I help with the schools out in the community. So it's a really great partnership and collaboration with so many people. Now maybe for that. Great.
Thank you.
What questions do you have, thoughts, concerns, anything I can help?
That's amazing.
I just regret I didn't get to come to any of your activities. I really hope to get to come this year. I can't ski.
It's okay,
I wouldn't try because I would get hurt.
but you can watch. The teachers last days, because they come, they like make sure all the kids are good, and then they all go to Starbucks, and then they watch the kids with hot drinks.
Man,
Ski. So, there's no fans. Your only requirement is to make sure they all get out into the snow, and that they check in on all of their students at lunch, make sure they have no needs, and then make sure to take every single one of those kids home.
thank you.
Yeah.
And Mr. Williams has been a champion here. She just can't say enough great things.
Now we gotta say
Thank you
it
so much.
I was just to get them back on the bike.
Well, and you said you inspire people to get back to their habit.
Yeah. Ever seen a new bus?
I'm inspired for what, that's,
But half the teachers that I think all the bus drivers only come because my language is food. And they're like, what's lunch? What's lunch? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You know, we have, one of our biggest plagues right now is chronic absenteeism. It's 18 plus days.
18+ days you're chronically absent.
Now, is that mainly in the high school? I just have, I'm sorry,
Across the county.
across the regardless.
I mean, how can we, this is such a problem. How can we use it to get our kids to stay in school, you know, come to school? I mean, is there some way we could? There's no restrictions on students' ability to access your program.
Correct. There is no restriction.
Just because we are just moving the classroom, so part of the thought process behind, you know, when it's created was that it wasn't something that was exclusive, it was something that was, like if you don't come today to class at Watoga, then you miss, like, we are doing class, so class here versus class there. Now, I will say, teachers anecdotally report that it helps with attendance. Now, I will say from a high school perspective, we have added an attendance requirement that is new. So we would have kids that came on adventure to volunteer last year that had tons of absentees. And I didn't know about, you know, as a partner, I didn't know about that. And they were coming with forms. So we now do have a policy in place where if a student comes on an adventure, a high school student comes on an adventure and they're missing their orange form, which is that communication from the school to me saying, I'm agreeing to be here and follow the rules. My parent knows I'm here and the school knows I'm here. On the backside, the school, every teacher that student has to sign the back and say, I have a C and I haven't been absent. And if that student arrives to the adventure without that sheet of paper, they are to call home immediately and sit there and wait until their parent gets there. I didn't have that policy last year, so I was like, well, I guess go do what you came to, you know. I felt kind of alone out there at Watoga or Cats or wherever we were because the student showed up. And so it's hard to turn them away. At least now I feel like we're telling you, if you don't have this, this is what's going to happen. And I think having that policy, at least from a high school standpoint, now from an elementary school, you know, other than anecdotally. Now, I will say I recently enrolled in Marshall University to get my doctorate and hope to use this program to create it as an evidence-based program. I'm actually helping 3 other counties right now develop their similar programs in their counties. We are really here in Pocahontas County, I think, on the cusp of being looked at as something really unique. So it'd be nice to know if kids in adventure grades, right, like with an upcoming adventure, are less chronically absent, right? If we say, you know, adventures on Friday, don't miss school, you know, I don't know. But I'm happy to support whatever it is, you know, this program is ultimately created exclusively for you all, so.
We have great staff.
Yes.
If our kids will get to school, that's where we're struggling with chronic absenteeism.
Be nice if you could build up a little bit, at the middle school level, because in the elementary, they're kind of dependent. And there's really not a whole lot of absenteeism. And then it starts to slide at the middle school. And then it takes a big dive.
Yeah.
At the high school. And I think the fact that you're building the volunteer program speaks well, especially if, you know, they can't be a volunteer if they're not an example.
And they cannot be, so in pre-K through 8th grade, we as in snowshoe, so they do pay my salary now, the first 2 years. ESSER's grant fund through the Pocahontas County, like the COVID dollars paid my salary. And in the last 3 years, Snowshoe Mountain directly pays my salary to run this program for the county at no cost. The only thing you have to pay is transportation. That's it. Just be full transparent. So Snowshoe Mountain gets pre-K through 8th grade, and all school staff and personnel, free season passes, direct to live through the adventure program. In 9th through 12th grade, they must earn it. They have to work an adventure in order to get their season pass. This year, they have to come to school, get good grades, work an adventure,
and then they're passed. So we're at, you know.
You do a wonderful job.
It's been like honestly the joy of my life creating this program, so thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me. Okay, my child has been the joy of my life. I just got a really, I'll see you. Any other questions? Anything?
Yeah, she's all in things.
Thank you.
But thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
You don't have to. Or fun.
You vote on this one?
And now we're back.
Yeah, but first, like, we need to read all. Just one out.
Yeah. MOU with Marshall and the Level Up. And if you had time to read through those, I feel, the wireless scoreboard, MOU with New River Technical College and Level Up. The wireless scoreboard, there's some things that have to be done there with, Green Bank Observatory, and I'm sure they're. Permission for the resolution from the board for authorization of Grant Smiths and the matching funds for the conference grant application. And that has to be put into.
Yeah, we've been they've been working, we'll need to do something.
Okay, you going for the whole 500,000?
We're going for a lot.
Hey, well,
Yeah, towards Sarah.
thanks, well, go big or go home.
Thank you.
Discussion approval to post the dollar coach for the volleyball. We're not gonna approve the dollar coach for volleyball. Oh, is that in addition to?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought, now we just decided that. Okay. Permission to post a part-time gifted teacher. What's that about?
We do not have a gifted teacher. Back when Miss Bostic was here, the principal at Hillsborough was, tasked with being the gifted teacher for the county. So that means she writes the IEPs for the gifted students and she has to go out and service the gifted students, which is it's a little much for her to have to do. So we would like to try to find a gifted teacher. They haven't found one and Miss Spencer is certified to do that, but we would like to look for one to serve our gifted students. Only we have two.
We've had one in the past.
Yes, we have had one in the past,
Yeah.
and but that position has gone away, and I'm essentially asking to bring that position back and post it to serve our students.
Was this the AP class would be eliminated? No, nothing. Okay.
Permission to schedule board work session on August 26th at 1:00 with the West Virginia Department of Ed for local school improvement council training and finance boot camp. I'm gonna tell you right there, I can't.
Okay, so
I've got an appointment with my husband that I cannot miss.
you want me to see if I can reschedule that? Can you give me some
Yeah.
dates? So we'll
I
just-
can tell you what, it's been on the books for a long time.
Okay. Okay.
Discussion and action, federal guidance to adjust standard mileage from 0.725 to 0.76. That's federal.
Yeah.
guidance there. And permission for out-of-county student to attend Pocahontas County schools. Do we need a transfer agreement from his home school, or we've approved him?
We just approved him to come here and. Essentially, that's how it works.
Okay.
Can I ask this question? Why some things? Does his parents move here? Does his parents live in another county?
They live in another county. We probably need to, I hate to say it out loud. If you want to know more details about any student, I did get his entire record. If you want some of that, we would have to discuss that in executive session.
Yeah.
Can we move that into the end?
Yeah.
But we can bring everything else and then move that to the
Pull
end.
him
That way
out.
we can get to the state.
Right, pull him out. We're gonna, I'll make a motion to approve everything up to that point.
Well, H is approved because we changed the date.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll pull H.
With the exception of H.
H and J is pulled.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any noes? everything goes except H and J. We'll say, H, you can let us know about, and J will say. All right. This is, things that I brought forward based on, community comments, concerns, so forth. So there is a concern on the business program that had kids enrolled, and now they don't have anywhere to go. What is our plan for that?
All of those students, and if they had checked at the high school, could complete their business pathway through virtual education. That was in place. All they have to do was, I guess when the scheduling was going on, they should have discussed that with the principal.
Okay, wonder if that happened. Don't know. I'm kind of wondering if it did, because the person that brought this forward would definitely have known if there was a fake.
That's when I got your email, started the investigation, and yeah, I mean, that was always out there, and I think that was actually when I did the CTE pathways, and we presented that out at the high school for those community meetings, that was covered at those community meetings.
All right, we'll check on that.
If they could just check with the principal about their scheduling,
Yeah.
and Mrs. Hill, that would be ground zero to start.
Okay, 5 previous years, we did, well, go ahead.
On the business. So, previously, we were going to receive a status update on the business lab equipment.
Yes, I checked with Ms. Dunlap. She has distributed those out to the other CTE classrooms.
What was the reason that we did away with business CTE?
We had 8 students in the.
What was enrollment going to be this year?
We didn't track enrollment this year because that's all that we had.
So in comparison to the other programs,
The new criminal justice program has 37 students enrolled. And I can't remember the exact number for the nursing program, but I think it's about the same number.
what about the others?
The other, I don't know those off the top of my head. I can get those for you.
So 8 students didn't, have the interest that were already in the program.
Some of those were graduating. So we just didn't, over the years, the program had completely dwindled away. And I think it dwindled away when Mrs. Kesterson had left. And, it was not a program that was extremely successful.
Was it on the, survey? We did a survey,
It was not, you know what, I'm not gonna say yes or no. I don't remember. I can pull the survey.
The 5 years, previous years audit discussion. This is something, because we brought this up when we had our training with Mr. O'Call and, Mr. Long. And in talking with other CFOs, whatever you call it here, they recommended that you start, a new board starts clean, and then we are responsible for fiscal, but we can't be responsible because we really don't know. It hasn't gone back. So they recommended that you go back 5 years and have an audit done just to make sure that the processes are clean and that there, isn't anything that we need to be aware of. But
So the processes, as we established last year, are not clean. We are working on cleaning those up. However, I did reach out to Dr. O'Call and I said, for 5 years previous audits, those audits have been completed. You can look at those. We can get copies of those audits so you know exactly where you stood at with those. We will be audited again this year. That's already in the budget to do that. But I've asked him, what would be the best way to provide you with what the previous, just the audit reports. He's working on that information for us.
okay.
But for this year, we already have money in the budget to audit this past year. So the year has to end, and it just ended. We will audit that and give you a clean report out on where we sit at the end of that fiscal year. And if you want greater details, Ms. Hamilton could provide those.
That we discussed having an independent, CPA audit.
And the Dr. Call is working on that, because he took that, and that, he said, I will work on that. And then I sent him your email, and I said, they also want to look at this. So we've talked extensively, and he said, I will work on this and get a plan together.
Well, there's a procedure for it. So are you saying that he's gonna be the one to provide us the approved CPA list?
Yes,
Set of council?
he's going to get, that's right, he's working on that, he is working on that process for us.
$50,000.
That's nice.
Yes, ma'am.
At this point for the 26 school year, we voted in, the board voted in March to keep the state auditor. So we have to use that one for this year. And then they have to do that now. You all can hire another one, of course. But that is an expensive, you're looking at $25,000, $30,000.
I'm gonna say it's gonna cost $30,000. Plus about 40 if you're having, or it's got.
But we can get some cost estimates and we'll have some new numbers that we can have in front of us once we have that CPA list. I think it's lower.
Sure, and then from that point in March of 27, should you all deem necessary, don't have to use the state audit. You can use the list that's provided.
I think you've had, almost 100, in every school, you may as well say, there's been 100% turnover, at least in a key position in each school. So I would think they would want to start out clean. And we want to start out clean because they make it very clear in training that we will be responsible. And I do know that there are counties that are the board is being held responsible for misfunding when they thought they had money. Yeah, they not putting they charged all their fields and now they're like, So they're in big trouble and I don't.
Right, no. But I just want to let you all have the right, it's just not for next year. You don't really, instead of, I understand we're gonna hire another and we'll figure that money out, it's not budgeted. But on March of 27, should you not want to, we'll already have the money in the budget. And you can go to another cost that will additional.
Dr. Paul's working on it, I'll get the list of everything together. Once I have actually touched base with him at the end of last week, and I texted with him, and he said he's working on it. So he will get that for us, because he is the school board association executive director. That's why I'm asking for additional assistance.
All right. 261 employees and position locations. And this was advice given during training that we have that actually be a standing agenda item every time. Where are we with our staffing? You know, who are these people and have any new positions been filled? Are they 200 days versus 261 days? And what is the impact on the budget? Then just, involving more to make sure that you have what you need and that you're not overspending and putting people in positions that you don't have money to pay for. That being said, we probably do need to have that.
I have it all for you right here.
Okay, already prepared. And she's gonna just update it. Yeah, okay.
So this is the presentation I gave to the Pocahontas County Board at the end of last year. And this is what, the picture on here is what we call final computations for the PSSP program, personnel data. So this shows professional student support staff, professional educators and service staff. And it shows you how many we are over and how many we are under. So Pocahontas County Schools, the number of student support staff, we were allotted 6.93. The one that we had 1.30 that we had not utilized, and I utilized that position to assist with paying for the graduation coach. Then if we move over to professional educators, we are allotted 100.68 professional educators. We actually had 94.86, which left us under the formula 5.82. Then if we go over to service personnel, we had been allotted 76.87. I'm sorry. Yes, we actually have 84.42. And 5.42 of those positions are the additional days for the 261s that you see here on this piece of paper. So the extra 261s are added into this. So that's where our overage of 7.55, of that overage, 5.42 of those positions are the additional days. So the State Department reimburses us for 200 days. And any employee in the entire system that is over 200 days has to be, those days are allocated as overage or out of funds. Does that make sense? Okay. So most recently, at the school treasurers conference, information was provided to Ms. Hamilton about where we stand currently. And she went to this conference in July. So here is the actual state reported out to us. And if we look at the top of this page, it says professional personnel data. And we can see where we are with professional. And there's a little graph down here. So we can see that we are still under total number of professional funded by the county board is 7.24 under the formula of what we are allotted. So we are allotted 107.76. We have 100.49, and we are under this amount. And then if we go up to service personnel, we can see that we are over 7.27, and on our comps, I think it was 7.55. So we are over, and still 5.42 of those positions are eaten up with the 61 days of all those people listed. For professional employees that are 240 or 261, that equates to 4.2 positions, but we are still below what we are allotted, even though we are 4.2 positions for the extra days. And that's our principal extra days, that's the director extra days. I don't think I'm funded in the funded formula. The treasurer is not funded in the funded formula. And you have to have an attendance director, which is not funded in a funded formula. The only positions you have to have technically is a superintendent, a treasurer, and an attendance director. And I'm just saying that the county, and then because those are required, you say, oh, you have to pay for it. County,
That's the general budget.
yes.
General.
So those are, I believe, all the things that relates to knowing about the positions, knowing the days, keeping you updated, and that is the most recent data provided to us in July.
So, you know, I noticed that there's a lot of these folks here that got paid out for their vacation. So let me ask you this. You work and then you get paid for your vacation. Is that like double pay?
No, it's, no,
Okay. It's just, okay.
yeah, it's because you didn't get to take, it's because you didn't get to take it, you can get paid for it.
All right.
Either way, you would be paying that, because if they took off, you would pay for them taking off.
Right, and maybe so,
And then it's up, so you're actually saving money.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
Can you honestly?
the snow, hiring. You wanna,
I've not used them. I don't plan on using them.
okay.
If you don't
So-
want me to, it's not a big deal. I didn't, if you remember that discussion, I said, I don't care either way.
Yeah. I think right now at this point in time, you know, the people are rolling back to school, so it can probably be, backed up to, you know, the middle of August. If that's all right with you.
Do you want me, are you saying that you want me to, if we hire any teachers between now and the next board meeting, you want me to go ahead and let them start? Or you don't want me to let them start?
Well,
Because we have a bunch of vacancies
yeah, I know.
and school starts.
Can you even get somebody in the system in 2 weeks?
Well,
It's
yeah, we
never
have
been
interviews,
my
we
experience.
have interviews that's in process now,
Oh, do you?
That came down, yeah.
Well,
but it's up to you.
But are
I
the
don't have
principals,
to.
the principals hire, don't they hire their own teachers? They
No,
don't?
no, the only person that can make recommendations or changes to personnel is the superintendent, and the board's role is to approve recommendations. I let them interview at the school level
Okay.
to make their recommendations of which position they want. For example, we'll have the Title I, multi-tiered system of support coordinator coming down at Green Bank. They'll interview and make a recommendation. That person, if I don't allow them to start, will not start until after the next board meeting, which will meet the opening professional development. But again, I don't care. I'm not gonna.
I think we gotta keep it till after school starts. During the process, you gotta have it.
I think that we would be, agreeable to having a meeting if needed, or, to be able to hire. I don't think we would want to, or let it be put off, if that makes sense. I would be open to a special meeting if need be, if we had someone that was ready to go, we didn't people.
So that it didn't hold any.
Now, the superintendent could send him an email. We can't send emails to each other, or we can't text each other, but she can text each one of us.
That's true.
Or she can email and say, I'm going to recommend to our so-and-so, what do you think? Now, she can do that. We can't do it to each other, but she can, the superintendent.
I think just keep it, you need to stay in there till, like, till school starts. What's that? It's 19.
Yes,
Yeah, and then after that, everybody should be back.
and no more, I'm amicable with that, because a board meeting to approve it costs the county paying board members the salary of that meeting. And it's also an additional time we have to make sure we're getting that agenda out. There's a bunch of stuff,
And it's gonna be done 3 days ahead of time,
all that's.
sunshine law. But you could send out an email or have some, Ollie to send us an email saying I'm working so and so for the second grade position at Molly Elementary. You can send that.
So I make a motion that we change the date from October 16th to August 19th on the ability to hire for transfer. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. All right, positions, professional services and funding form.
That's, I already covered that.
Okay, that was one thing.
okay,
Okay,
and the snow routes.
and this is a two-part.
So the snow routes,
You know, there's been more chatter, and the closer school starts, the higher the volume goes about, the shortened summer and all the snow days and so forth and so on. We do have a snow route schedule. I don't know how up to date it is. And I have asked that they, involve the bus drivers, who will probably are their best source of information, and I think he's got that to do. So, and the other part that is time sensitive is that Ms. Scotchy at the middle school needs a concise list of what kids are on which buses when they get off, because apparently they all go to her. Nobody knows these kids, and they're all wandering around because they don't know what bus to get on because they're first timers, and they're trying to sort it out. So, in respect to what she's trying to do, it would be great to get her that list.
With all due respect, Ms. Scotchy has not contacted me and asked me to help her get that list, and I'm not sure, where's that list originate? How do we get it, Ollie? Do you have any idea?
I know that in the beginning of the school year, we have this list created by each individual bus driver, students that are on their bus.
Is that where it comes from?
And Mr. Gibson reviews all of that. We receive those from the bus driver.
and to be fair,
Ms. Scotchy didn't bring it to me.
Okay.
it was other interested parties who
Saw what was trying to go, and they felt bad for her. And I said, they should have a list.
Of the students on each bus, is that what we're asking?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure Mr. Gibson can get that together. I mean, I don't think that's a problem, because that's actually required by state law to generate a bus registration list, I believe.
on day one.
Yeah, they have to send us home.
Okay.
But for snow routes, we don't meet with bus drivers independently. He meets with those on August the 13th, and he was going to review the snow routes. But we also need to think about how we're going to handle report to work days for the teachers, because all the teachers will have to report to work day on snow route days, and what that has to look like. So maybe we need to look at a process or procedure on that, because again, if we run snow routes, everybody has to report to work to be there for the students that haven't been. That's neither here nor there to us, because I made the county board office work every day. And they were so happy to work, right, girls? Because I love to go to work. Look at Stephanie back there. So the county office got their days off. But I did let the teachers stay home when we had snow days. So we'll have to revisit that plan.
Okay, okay. Comes from the person that drives Greenbrier County every day. Previous sentence.
Hey, look, I worked on Western Day for years, Rupert Elementary.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, all I'm trying to do is keep the schedule ongoing and have less disruption, because it was totally, it blew up. At the end of the year, it totally blew up, and it certainly here. So
It was a bad winter.
it was a bad winter. All right, board member remarks. Do we want to talk about, out of county students?
You need to talk about the, Jay before we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we just want to do that in exec. I make a motion, we go into executive session on a student matter.
Yes.
So we got to have another.
I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss a student, matter. And it is. Things like that. All in favor, say aye. Any noes?
Okay, so the, decision on J for an out-of-county student, we are going to say no to the transfer. Okay, make a motion, to, deny the transfer.
All in favor, say aye. Any noes? One no? Okay. One no.
One no.
All right. Comments?
Is that what's next?
Yes. Comments.
Bam.
I don't know, maybe. Heard anything from the community, everybody's saying.
I'm good.
Okay.
I would just like, when we was talking about snow routes, just made me think about, this past school year, there was days of school canceled, before we got any weather, bad weather. I would just like to ask, that is really looked at, because then the children suffered with all the snow days this past year, and then having to make them up and be in school as long as they did. So if we could look at how we call off school, I would really appreciate that. We have chains on our buses, and I would say if I was out there watching, I'd say there's very few times that they ever have the chains on. Because I help get my grandsons on and off the school bus a lot because of my daughter's work schedule. So again, it affects the kids not being in school, trying to make up the snow days. So I would just really appreciate that being looked at a little bit.
So, well, first I want to thank everyone that worked on the athletics. I think that was a really nice presentation and a great option for the kids. More than anything, I think that's wonderful. So I had requested, after our last meeting, I requested that an item on early graduation be placed on the agenda. And since it wasn't, I'm going to talk about it here. And I would like to be asked that it be on the next agenda for discussion. We have policy 5460, and it states that that this is a pathway, right? And I think it's it says that students shall be scheduled for the full instructional day for 4 years, and then states the board shall develop and implement within the board's attendance policy procedures the definition of compelling circumstances under which the students may attend school for fewer than 4 full years. And that's a duty of the board. In policy 5200, it refers to compelling circumstances and says procedures have been approved by the West Virginia Board of Education, but it doesn't define them. And it doesn't contain a procedure. So both of these policies were revised in December. So if the procedures were approved by the West Virginia Board of Education, could we receive a copy? And if they weren't, again, I'd like these items to be placed on the agenda so that we can develop and adopt them. Because right now, as it's written, the policy tells our students there's a path and doesn't say what that path is. And I also would request that any pending requests that we have received, that they get a written response under whatever process currently exists.
I have provided a written response to said student. We've had one last year. And last year, the same request that was presented was also presented before. And a response was provided, and Mrs. Bland also had provided a response. But I will, what I had conveyed to President Rose when she asked about it is we have expanded our
to a block schedule, which allows 32 credits to graduate. There's only 23 credits right now. My concern would be to put a process in place without doing a comprehensive review of our policy and discussing what additional credits are needed to graduate. That we could have 50-60% of our senior class say, I'm graduating early, I want to graduate early to have all the credits. So I think it needs to be a thoughtful discussion that looks at a comprehensive system. It's not that I wasn't willing to put it on there, as I need to gather some information and do a little bit of research, so we can ask some questions, I'll be prepared for that. I'll have it on there. I'm not saying I'll have all the research and be ready to address all your questions, but I'll have it on there for discussion. But it will take me some time to research it.
I think in response to that, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of students, because if you, this kid has somebody sitting there waiting to take him on for an internship, that's a little different than I just tired of school and go graduate early. You know, they've got to have a legitimate reason for leaving early. If they're going on to college, that's legitimate. If they're going down to an internship, that's legitimate. If they're just going home or don't have a position in mind, that's a little different. And I think that has to be under also, you know, attendance and discipline and things like that. You just can't continue to reward bad behavior.
All of the, I think 26 counties in the state of West Virginia have that similar policy with those statements. And what I really want to do is ask them how they deal with the early graduation, or if they allow early graduation and get there, what they're doing. So that we have something to work off of for early graduation, or what compelling circumstances are. Because you'll need some guidelines as you begin to develop the approval process.
We had it previously. My daughter utilized it, and she went on to, she graduated early and started college.
I think
Mine
Mrs.
did
Campbell did too.
Mine did too.
That was great for her.
My oldest son.
So I don't know why it went away. It's a long story short. I don't know why it went away. I need to do some investigating.
We went to a 7-period day. I think so. I think whenever we went to the 7-period day.
So you had we had block schedule. And
Yes.
then you went to the 7-period day. So that would have been about 10 years ago it went away.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, 10 years ago would be 2016.
Also, looking
That's
at,
that whole thing.
the seniors from there, like, finally saying,
The only, I brought that up about exempting them from exams, but they still have to come to school.
Yeah.
Because there's no excuse for missing school. And to be honest with you, part of our attendance problem that I've talked to the principals about is that, okay, they let kindergarten graduate on this day, first grade graduate on this day, second grade graduate on this day, and then those kids never came back to school, which caused their chronically absent rate to go up because they didn't have all the graduations on the last day of school. So they have multiple grades missing school for 4 or 5 days there at the end of the year, which costs us in the county. Does that make sense?
yeah, it makes sense, but it looks like there has to be a fix to it, because they used to exempt them. And I know that they didn't go to school. Maybe absences were not such an issue.
It was the attendance policy was different.
It could be.
And I asked the state coordinator, I asked her, can we do this? And she said, no, we know. Because I wanted to do it. I met with all the directors and I asked her, can we do this? So I have traveled down that road and asked the State Department if we could do it. But I will put that, we will visit that, but I'm worried about chronic absenteeism.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Well, they shouldn't even. They probably, you can tag that on to it. If you're in this, if you have more than this, you don't qualify. And if they're the last 5 days or whatever, because the seniors get out, 2 weeks before anybody else?
5 days, they're allowed to graduate 5 days early according to code, according to the calendar post.
So are they counted absent for those days?
They are not, as long as we set our graduation date when the state approves the calendar.
Okay,
So that's a little different.
yeah, so we're not talking about everybody, we're just talking about seniors. I don't want to exempt everybody, it's just seniors. if they don't meet the grades for a GPA booster, that's probably not gonna happen anyway, then, what are we doing? Just because we can.
I think we pushed their graduation back, their last day of school back 5 days this year, so they don't have to attend those 5 days.
That's good. That's good.
It wasn't last year's calendar, and I don't know why I wasn't there, but we did give them in this year's calendar.
I don't know last year's calendar, but blew up.
Okay, and then,
The sport card.
we still don't have a scorecard, so we still can't work on goals.
Our scorecard for the county.
I was gonna pull up some of that information tonight, and it was down, and I
Yeah.
think that's probably because they're working on the balanced scorecard and getting ready to release it.
Okay.
So as soon as I have it, I promise.
Okay, and then we probably need to set a date to work
Either on the front
end of the board meeting
to get our goals. They have to be
in by the 15th of September. So we don't wait till the last minute, so we can.
Yes,
do it.
on the front end.
Yes, I'll put maybe an early work session on one of those, like it come in now, okay.
That'll work. Okay. Next meeting, August 10th.
That's it.
All right. Any other business?
None, we're adjourned.
We are, it'll be